Hello there, fellow Whovians. It's Tom back again with another episode of Whocast. You're watching episode number 5, and for today's episode, I want to talk about the Doctor Who Series 10 episode titled Extremis. And now, this was a somewhat religious episode, as it had church people in it, as well as a pope, and it also answered a question we've been wondering since the first episode, and that is, who is behind the vault? My first thought was the Johnson Master, as he's later appearing in the Cyberman episode alongside Michelle Gomez as Missy, who I honestly don't like. And the reason for thinking it was him is because of the 4 knocks you can hear at the end of Thin Ice. But then I remembered that Missy is a later incarnation of the Master in female form, which I absolutely hate, and I'll explain my reasoning for that after this review. This episode had to do with the Doctor attempting to find a cure for his blindness, while not wanting to tell Bill, which is an unusual thing for the Doctor to do, as he usually tells his companions his secrets. He actually starts using his sonic specs again, so as to try and help him see via Time Lord technology. Interestingly enough, 12 is using the specs as a sort of radar to detect people, but he's actually seen using the new screwdriver he's had since Hellbent, and which fortunately hasn't been destroyed from last episode during Oxygen. I actually was convinced it was, but that would actually kind of suck to have the Doctor get a new screwdriver only to have it destroyed in the 6th episode of the following series. That just wouldn't work. So I'm glad he managed to fix it, however he did. And I wasn't actually surprised to see Missy in this episode, as the next time trailer for this episode, at the end of last week, actually teased her return. So that basically ruins the plot of the next episode by showing that she's back. The episode overall was a tad bit confusing. We are shown 2 different time periods that the Doctor is in. One which is set simply a long time ago, and the other set in present day. The episode opens with the a long time ago setting, with the Doctor in a dark variant of what looks like his Crumbly coat minus the vest. Yeah, 12 has had some confusing costume changes since Series 9, still don't know why. The other time period has to do with the Pope asking the Doctor to translate a text called Veritas in a library. This version of the Doctor seems to wear the red velvet jacket with the hoodie underneath, a trait he seems to don a lot. I just don't get why he needs to wear a hoodie underneath his costume. It has no real significance at all. The interesting thing about what happens in this episode is that not only is Bill starting to actually show that she's gay, as the actress actually cited in a Series 10 interview that Bill's gay, and it shows that with another woman hanging out with her, which seems to indicate that she is dating another person of her gender, which is definitely a first for Doctor Who. But we also get to revisit a location that the Doctor has previously visited back in his 11th incarnation, back in the Series 6 2-part opener, The Impossible Astronaut and the Day of the Moon, which is the White House's Oval Office. It does look a little different, as the Oval Office that the 11th Doctor visited was from the 70s, and the one that 12 goes to is a modern day version of it. The really cool thing about the significance of the Series 6 location is that it's all connected by a series of portals that go to a different place, as Bill and Nardole later find out. And evidently, Nardole discovers the portals are all computer projections, as when he leaves into one of them, he dissolves into pixels, meaning that the world they are in isn't real. All in all, this was a rather confusing episode, even after a second viewing of it. It's just that a lot of the plot holes don't really make sense, and it's all jumbled up between 2 time periods. The long time ago, with 12 in a darker, buttoned-up coat reminiscent of the Series 8 climber coat, like I mentioned earlier, and his red velvet jacket with a hoodie underneath. One thing I will say about this episode that I liked is that not only do we get a mention of River, but we also get to see the Doctor use his sunglasses in a way we've never seen them used before, as well as not using them as a sonic device, and instead leaving that to his new screwdriver, which I am really liking. But my favourite will always be the 9th and 10th Doctors, like I said in last episode. Anyway, I think that just about does it for my review of Extremis. It was an interesting episode, but still had some confusing parts. I liked some of it, but it had its problems. And that brings me to my next topic, which is Missy. And now, as I said earlier in this episode, I really don't like Missy. And when I first found out that she was a female regeneration of the Master, as Missy is short for Mistress, also known as the Master, I was actually kind of disappointed. Yes, I will agree, Michelle Gomez does bring Missy out differently than most Masters I've seen, but I just didn't like the idea of a female incarnation of the Master. I was aware that Time Lords could change the outcome of the regeneration to either gender, as mentioned by the Sisterhood of Khan in The Night of the Doctor during the 8th Doctor's regeneration, but I just kind of got used to both the Doctor and the Master always being a man. Well, the Master merely steals people's bodies as he's apparently run out of regenerations during the classic series, at least until Series 3 with Utopia, when Derek Jacobi's Master regenerates for the first time in the show's history to John Sims, who's making a comeback later in the series alongside Michelle Gomez as Missy, but to have the Master of all characters have a female incarnation just did not make me happy about the show's future. I much prefer the John Sim Master, as he did a terrific job in Sound of Drums, The Last of the Time Lords, and The End of Time. I will say, I am very much looking forward to seeing both versions of the Master collide, although there is a theory that Missy is actually a reincarnation of the Rani, but of course that's just a theory, as there's no real proof. The Rani is basically a time lady of the Doctor fought back in the classic series. I only know of the character from pictures, researching her and from the 6th Doctor's regeneration in the story, The Time of the Rani. What's most interesting about the episode is that we will see the two interact for the first time, but not only will we see the return of the Mandalosian Cybermen from the first Doctor's era, but also the John Sim Master will look a bit different this time around, as he will be sporting a beard, a trait that both Roger Delgado and Anthony Ainley's Master had in the classic series. This will be interesting, as the last we saw from the John Sim Master is that he was sent back to Gallifrey with the Time Lords at the end of Time. Perhaps, in that time, he's aged enough to actually grow some facial hair. Who knows, only time will tell. I also just don't like the idea of gender-swapped regeneration, ever since Misty first appeared back in Series A, with the idea of changing the outcome of your regeneration to a different gender. Some fans have really been wanting a female Doctor. The main reason why this just wouldn't work is that it would ruin the continuity of the show. The Doctor has always been viewed as a man, and I feel it should stay that way. It would make the show super awkward, and it just doesn't need to happen. The Doctor's been a man for more than 50 years, and to have this next regeneration be a woman would really make Doctor Who a really weird show. It would also make telling the story of the Doctor all the more strange. I still don't like the idea of a female Master, and I'm very certain that whoever Chris Chibnall, the new showrunner for Doctor Who, some Series 11, casts, will be an excellent 13th Doctor, and really bring something to the Doctor we've never seen before. And that's another thing I want to bring up before I end the show for today, and that is the rumour that Pell Mackie might leave Doctor Who with Peter Capaldi and Michelle Gomez. The idea is that Chris Chibnall wants to have a fresh start when running the next series, similar to what Stephen Moffat did when he took over from Russell T Davies at the end of Series 4 with the End of Time. By the time Series 5 started, not only did we have a new Doctor, new Sonic, and new TARDIS, but we also had a new companion in Amy Pond, played by the amazing Karen Gillan. So to have a similar fresh start on a new series of Doctor Who with those things would be an interesting idea for the show. Although Bill is growing on me as a companion, I don't like her as much as other companions the Doctor has travelled with, but so far she's a fun addition to the TARDIS crew, along with Nardole. I mean, while it's only a rumour to have Pal Mackie leave after only one series, it would still be a viable option, as Freeman Agyeman's Martha Jones and Kathleen Tate's Dawn Noble only stayed on for one series each during the Tennant era. Now, as far as the idea of Michelle Gomez leaving, I would totally be up with the idea, but as I still don't like Missy, and I think it's one of the weirdest ideas that Moffat has come up with for Doctor Who. and I'm not against it, I'm just not a fan of it. So for now, all I can say is I'm very excited for the last two episodes of the series because of classic monsters returning, but also two incarnations of the Master meeting for the first time in Doctor Who history, something we only see the Doctor do. And that does it for this episode of Whocast. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Extremis, and don't forget to give this episode a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, as well as my second channel, Ultimate Gaming, where I do gameplay videos. And also make sure to click that bell next to the subscribe button on both channels, so that you'll be notified as soon as I upload a new video. As always, thanks for watching, and I will be back next time for another episode. Goodbye.